Okay, got a couple more people joining. Okay, I want to make sure we have enough time to get through everything and have a little bit of discussion here. So I'm going to go ahead and kick us off. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're tuning in from. Maybe good morning for a lot of people, since I do know this is our Oakland Coast to Coast Spotlight for the College of Engineering. Just want to say thank you to Caitlin and Xiaomei for being panelists on this. They are both members of the Oakland community, and just have some really great insight as to what it's like to go to school in that city. I'll take a moment and introduce myself. My name is Gretchen Hahn, and I am a recruiting specialist in the College of Engineering and the Office of Enrollment Management. I currently sit in New York City near our Boston campus, and I'm excited for you all to be here today and learn a little bit more about some of our College of Engineering offerings. For anyone who is not familiar with Northeastern already, I'm just going to give a quick overview of the university itself before I talk a little bit more about the College of Engineering. But Northeastern University is a top-ranked R1 research and experiential learning university. That experiential learning component is the ethos of what we do. I would say it is Northeastern's bread and butter. And that is primarily achieved through our co-op program. We are currently ranked #1 in co-op and internships out of any university in the United States. And it is a huge reason students come to study with us, particularly in the College of Engineering. Northeastern has over 10 colleges and schools that make up the university itself, with over 50,000 students ranging from undergrad all the way up to PhD. And those research awards that we have are upwards of $296 million that goes towards that R1 research denotation that we have. Our flagship campus is in Boston, and we have a robust global university system made up of 13 different campuses, Oakland being one of those. A little bit more specifically about the College of Engineering. Our enrollment as of fall 2024 is just over 10,000 students. You can see the breakdown of graduate versus undergrad there. A little bit more graduate and PhD in terms of our numbers. Programs all the way down to the bachelor's up to the PhD level, with over 110 academic degrees, certificates, and minors to build the education that you want to get. We have 403 full-time faculty members as of 2024, and 248 of those are tenure or tenure track in some way. You can see a little bit more of the breakdown of our research funding that we have as well. We're very excited in the College of Engineering right now because our master's programs are up 68% over the last 4 years. We see more and more people coming back to further their education, take that next step in their professional life, and get that master's degree to help them take those next steps. And we're excited to accommodate all of those students. We're a 34 ranked best engineering graduate school, and ranked 35 for undergrad. So the professors and the community that build up the College of Engineering really are doing important work that is making an impact and does not go unnoticed by the STEM community. This is a bit of an overview again of the breakdown of our different academic programs. Again, graduate certificates all the way up to the PhD programs, as well as a list of all of our COE programs on our different campuses. Oakland, a lot of information systems, our information system bridge, electrical engineering, and a couple of undergrad offerings as well, which is pretty exciting. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Caitlin, to talk a little bit more specifically about Oakland.
Good morning / afternoon / evening, everyone. My brain is still turning on since it's about 8 a.m. here in California. So apologies if some of the things that I say seem a little bit disjointed. But thank you, Gretchen, for the introduction. My name is Caitlin. I am the Assistant Director of Admissions just for our graduate programs here in Oakland. So if you have any questions about our program with College of Engineering, whether that be the information systems, master's degrees, or also the PhD in electrical engineering, happy to support with any questions you may have. But I believe, Xiaomei, you're also doing an introduction really quickly as well. So I want to pass it over to you.
Hi everyone, my name is Xiaomei, and currently I'm studying in Information System program at Northeastern University, Oakland campus, and I'm also the graduate student ambassador for the College of Engineering. And in terms of you have any question regarding like study or like the living or like anything about this program, you can feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
All right, so thank you for the introduction as well, Jave. But really quickly, we're just going to get into a little bit more about Oakland itself as a city and also as a campus. So as Gretchen was saying, there are a bunch of different campuses here in California, or here in the Northeastern Network, two of which are in California. So on this map, you can see towards the top of the map, we have our campus here in Oakland. And then towards the bottom in the orange area, you also see our campus in Silicon Valley. Those campuses are about 45 minutes to an hour and a half with traffic away from each other. Traffic here in the Bay Area is notoriously pretty terrible. So if you are driving, please emotionally prepare for that. But we have a bunch of different areas in the local Bay Area that you can live, whether that be in Oakland, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a minute, or as you can see on the map here, Hayward. There's also San Leandro, which are both cities directly south of Oakland. So depending on what vibe you're interested in, there are a bunch of different areas that you can live. Also, additionally, you can see on this map here, across from Oakland in the East Bay, we have San Francisco, which I think most folks are familiar with as like the largest city in the Bay Area. This is a picture actually of the Golden Gate Bridge right behind me. So this is about maybe half an hour, 45-ish minutes away from Oakland with traffic. We also have the Bay Bridge, which is where you would usually enter San Francisco if you're coming from Oakland. This goes more north towards Marin, as you can see on this map. Additionally, below the city in San Francisco, we have more of the tech industry and the tech hubs. So we have South San Francisco, Palo Alto, Mountain View, San Jose, and those are all huge tech areas here in the Bay Area. So if you are interested in getting involved with more tech-based industries, you might get plugged in there. Also in the East Bay, we have a mix of different industries, including tech, but also including a lot of nonprofit, local government, and also entrepreneurship going on. So it's a very diverse area here in California. And we also have a lot of other larger colleges here in the Bay Area, not just Northeastern University, but we have UC Berkeley, which is about 20 minutes north of us, and Stanford right over in that yellow area on the map in Palo Alto, which is more like an hour away. So it's a huge hub for a lot of really big universities and research universities here in California. If you want to go to the next slide, over. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our neighborhoods here in Oakland specifically. So there's a lot going on in Oakland outside of the campus. It is a very large city. And so these are some of the most popular neighborhoods, one of which is Lake Merritt, which is about 10 minutes away from campus. The Lake Merritt area has a bunch of different stuff going on, including a man-made lake that a lot of folks can kind of hang out at during the day, do a picnic, just hang out, read a book, do whatever. There's a couple of public libraries as well, in addition to a theater, bookstores, restaurants, bars. There's some boba places there, coffee, what have you. They have it. And Lake Merritt is also one of the stops that our shuttle goes to. So we have a campus-sponsored shuttle that takes you to different areas around the local Oakland and Bay Area. The shuttle is completely free to students to use. It picks you up on campus, drops you off in different areas in the local area, and then brings you back to campus, similar to a normal bus system. The shuttle, like I said, takes you to Lake Merritt, to the Trader Joe's over there. Is one of the drop-off spots historically, and then we'll pick you up at a later time, bring you back. So if you have any shopping you want to do, you can do that there. There's also a Walgreens and a bunch of other stuff going on in that area. In addition to that, the shuttle also takes you to some other areas, including one of which is a local BART station. So for those of you who don't know what BART is kind of like the Bay Area's version of the subway, I guess is how I would describe it. And so BART can take you all over the Bay Area and outside of the Bay Area to a certain point. And so the shuttle drops you off to a couple of those BART stations during the year, and you can get a closer look at the shuttle schedule during the academic year at the pickup spot, which they'll tell you a little bit more about if you decide to apply and get admitted and all things during orientation. So that is something to note. But again, this is a free resource available to students and is very, very helpful for folks that do not have a car. So something to keep in mind. But if you want to go to the next slide, Gretchen. All right, so these are some of the other areas that we have here in Oakland. So in the top left corner, we have Lake Temescal, which is probably like 20 minutes away from campus. So you can see a lot of downtown areas that we have here in Oakland, but if you want to kind of unplug, chill out, Lake Temescal is a really beautiful place to do that. It is free to enter if you drive. You might have to pay for parking though, but it's pretty cheap. It's like $5. But especially on the weekends during warmer weather, like we have upcoming this weekend around like high 70s, which is great weather here for the Bay Area. It's a really cool place to kind of unplug, check out, get in touch with nature, feel some grass. It's a cool spot. And then right across the way, we have Jack London Square. So Jack London Square is in probably another 15-20 minutes away from campus. And it actually has the ferry, which you can take to San Francisco. So if you don't want to take BART, you don't want to drive, you don't want to do Uber or the bus or anything like that, the ferry is a really cheap and accessible way to get over to San Francisco. And it drops you off right next to AT&T Park, which is where the Giants Stadium is, which is our baseball team here in the Bay Area. So if you're a big baseball fan and want to get into some local sports, that's a really way to access that and get over to the city. In the bottom left corner, we have Temescal, different than Lake Temescal, and weirdly enough, not next to it. It's far away from it, but that's, you know, that's Oakland. And so Temescal is another downtown area that we have here. There's a bunch of bars, restaurants, some really good bakeries there. If you have any sort of dietary restriction, there's this one bakery that does really good gluten-free and also vegan pastries, which is delicious. So definitely would recommend checking that out. And then in the bottom right corner, we have Uptown, which is, if downtown's down here, Uptown is over here. And Uptown is home to one of our local, very large performing spaces and venues here in Oakland, the Fox, as you can see in the background there. So if there are any larger artists that are coming to the Bay Area to perform, they will be at the Fox. It's a really cool venue to check out and lots of restaurants and many, many other things to do in Uptown as well as some BART stations also close to there. So if you want to go to the next slide. Thank you. So we have the Oakland campus here, a little bit more of a highlight specifically for our Northeastern location. So for those of you who have already heard this, feel free to disregard. But our Oakland campus is pretty large. It's what I would kind of describe as a more traditional, quote unquote, like American US college feel. It has all the amenities that you would associate with that, whether that be a dining hall, library, a gym, residence halls, different class or lecture halls, things like that. The campus itself is about 135 acres, and it is a mix of different, I would say, architectural styles, which we'll see in a second, since the campus has been here for around 160, 170 years. So it's had a mix of different renditions going on. But if you want to go to the next slide, Gretchen. All right, so I don't know if you started sharing with sound. If you didn't, you might have to reshare, but this is a quick video that we have from one of our previous undergrad students of the Oakland campus.
I think I shared it for sound, so.
Let's see.
Hi, my name's Mara. I'm a first-year student here at Northeastern's campus in Oakland, California.
And I'm a computer science major at the COE College of Computer Sciences.
I'm beyond excited to be able to show you guys around today. I hope you enjoy. Right behind me is the Mills Hall. Students have classes in there, and it's one of our most iconic views here on this campus. Located directly across from Mills Hall is our bell tower here on campus. It's an important part of the school's history, and it also goes off every 15 minutes so we can hear it all across campus. Located behind me is Carnegie Hall. This is where students will go if they need help from our advising team here on campus. This is also where the COE College's offices are located. Now we're on the other side of Mills Hall. Located behind me, this is where students tend to hang out with their friends. I tend to do a lot of studying here with my friends as well after we grab some food. Now we're here in the library. The first floor is more for group projects and socializing, and the second floor is used as the quiet zone. This is one of my favorite views here on campus. I love looking at the trees while walking to my classes. Right over here is one of our dorms here on campus. This is actually my dorm, so I can't wait to show you my favorite part about it. Across from me here is Littlefield's Concert Hall. This is where students will come together when we have speakers in town here to speak to us here on campus. We're now here in President's Meadow. This is the perfect social hub for students as it's right in the middle of our gym, pool, and tennis courts. This is our chapel here on campus. It's the perfect place to get some peace and quiet in the midst of a busy day. This is our community farm here on campus. This is where students are able to practice acts of sustainability. And here we're on one of our trails that wraps around our whole campus. Another thing that makes our campus here in Oakland so unique is that we have an art museum here on campus. I couldn't be happier with the decision I made to come here. It's a beautiful campus and I hope you enjoy.
All right, so like I said, that's from one of our previous undergraduate students in the COE College of Computer Sciences, and talks more so to, I would say, like the general amenities to campus, but gives you a really good overview of what campus looks like. So as I mentioned in the video, there are a couple of different lecture halls and also dorms on campus. What they didn't show is the dorm that they showed on campus is one of the ones that's more central, and then we have different residence halls up in the different hills on campus. So there's kind of like a central area that you go to towards the bottom of campus. And then as you go up into the various hills on each side of campus, there are additional residence halls there as well. So that's not included in the video. If you're curious about that, there are some pictures on our general Oakland website to check out if you want to take a look at those. Would highly recommend doing that. But these are just some snapshots of some areas that I would recommend, or that I want to highlight here in the campus itself. So the picture in the top right corner is of GSB, which is our Graduate School of Business building. Not just for our business students, it's for everyone. It's just mostly built for our business school. So this is one of the newer buildings on campus. As you can see, the architecture is a little bit different than some of the other buildings that you've seen in the video and that you'll see in a second. This building is home to some of our larger theater style and smaller discussion style classrooms. So you may have a class in here depending on the schedule and the availability during the year. The picture in the bottom right corner is the inside of the chapel that they showed you in the video. This is a non-denominational space, meaning it's not affiliated with any particular spirituality or religion, and any religious holidays, celebrations, anything like that can be held here at the chapel. There's also a beautiful organ at the front that you can see in the picture here. In the bottom middle is the backside of Mills Hall and another picture of our Holmgren Meadow, which is also shown in the video. You can see some chairs out there, and especially during the year when it's a bit nicer outside, those chairs are filled up. Folks are hanging out on the lawn, chilling, either playing sports, studying, taking a break for lunch, anything like that. You'll see also a lot of usually like staff and faculty members hanging out there. And also some classes are held out there if it's a smaller lecture-based class or discussion-based class. I know one professor in particular, if it's above like 70 degrees, he's having class out on the lawn. So it's a good time for sure. And then the picture on the far left is just one of the angles of the library. And then Gretchen, if you want to go to the next slide. So the picture in the top left is actually the inside of the library. So as you can see, there's floor-to-ceiling windows along the side of the building, and there's a creek that goes all the way through campus. So it's a very beautiful area to study or relax or anything like that. In the top right corner is another picture of our art annex. So in the video, they showed you the Mills College Art Museum, and that's to the left of this picture. But behind this building is actually our makerspace. So the makerspace includes our wood shop, metal shop, and also a general maker space, which includes laser cutters, sewing machines, 3D printers. There's a kiln and a pottery wheel as well. So if you're interested in doing pottery, you can do that there. Some of those areas, I believe, require some sort of certification to use the facilities like the metal shop, since there's some dangerous equipment in there. But the makerspace hosts different trainings and group activities there throughout the year. So please feel free to use the space. It's completely free to students and a really cool area to get creative. Last but not least, in that area, we also have our XR and our VR studio. So that's primarily built for XR and VR research and for our students in our game science and design program. However, they also do have open gaming hours. So if you are someone who likes to game and wants to use the tech in there, you're definitely able to do that during certain times of the day during the week. In the bottom left corner, we have another picture of the farm, which they mentioned in the video. If you're interested in working on campus, folks love working at the farm. The farm is a really cool space, very focused on sustainability. They do a lot of cool programming throughout the year. The bottom middle picture is of NSB, which is our Natural Sciences building. This building, in addition to our Graduate School of Business building, are both smart buildings in that they open and close their windows by themselves. I don't know if anyone ever saw the movie from Disney way back in the day called Smart House, I think Tyra Banks was in that movie, incredible movie. But that is kind of the vibe of these buildings. They kind of know things that are a little bit more high tech than any ordinary building. And then last but not least, the picture on the bottom right is another picture of the meadow. So similar vibes, but you can see some folks hanging out there during the day. If you want to go to the next slide, Gretchen. All right, so in Oakland specifically, Gretchen kind of talked about this earlier, but what programs do we have? So we have our MS in Information Systems, MS in Information Systems Bridge, and then our PhD in Electrical Engineering. Like Gretchen also mentioned, we do have some undergraduate programs, but obviously we're here to talk about graduate programs today, so I won't really be getting into that. Our Bridge program specifically, for folks who are unfamiliar with it, is a program for folks with a different academic or professional background that want to break into a different industry. So there's an embedded additional number of courses to be able to give you the core competencies for folks that would be then entering the direct entry program, which is just the information systems program. So it's a really cool way to kind of find a pathway into a different field or research area or whatever you are interested in, and definitely can share some additional information if anyone wants to learn more about that. If I want to go to the next slide. So a little FAQ for some of our COE graduate students. The second question may not apply, but it's kind of a general precursor before anyone that applies and then is admitted and then decides to come, things like that. But the question at the top, first and foremost, is one of the most popular ones that I get. So are there research opportunities in Oakland for COE students? Yes. So specifically, there is a research club run by one of our professors here in Oakland. Primarily, this research is unpaid, but if you want to get involved, he's definitely willing and happy to take you on and get you involved in that club. His email address is right there if you want to get in contact with him to learn more about it. But that's one of the research opportunities. If there are other things you're interested in getting involved in or getting started up, I know our professors here are definitely always interested in kind of expanding and trying new things. So if there is research that they're doing or they want to get students involved in, they will definitely let students know. And if there's anything you want to get started, they're always open to discussions of that possibility. Second question, if I'm already admitted, how do I register for my fall 2025 classes? So again, this may not apply to folks here, but something to consider is that there is a timeline in which you should be applying. Application deadlines, I think Gretchen includes in a later slide. And also once you are admitted, definitely we always recommend to register for your classes ASAP so we know how many students are coming, and also so you can prepare as best you can, especially if you're an international student. So something I'm going to put into your brains a little bit ahead of time, maybe preemptively, but something to think about. But go ahead and go to our next slide.
Before we go to the next slide, Caitlin, I would love to just pose a question to Xiaomei here about, Xiaomei is past her first semester, but can you tell us a little bit about the classes that you took when you first got to Northeastern in Oakland, Xiaomei, and the process of meeting your advisor?
Yeah, of course. So the classes at Oakland campus, I think now it's more than the first semester that I got here. So we have more options. And in terms of the advisor, I believe for the new semester, Samantha still will work with us. And Samantha is very friendly and supportive. If you have any question, you can just send her an email or schedule a meeting with her. If you have any question regarding the courses, like for example, the schedule or like any restriction, especially for international students, like you can choose one online course maximum. Like to maintain your visa, you have at least to register a on ground class. So yeah, I think it's very important to keep in touch with her to make sure that your course registration is all set and is good, especially if you're an international student.
Awesome.
Yep.
Back to you, Caitlin. Sorry, I just wanted to post that real quick.
Yeah, no worries. Please feel free. So these are some of the jobs on campus. This also doesn't include some of our college-specific positions, such as what Xiaomei is doing here right now. So we have some other colleges that do student ambassadors or have student ambassadors as well. So that's something kind of separate from this, but these are all located and tied to the Oakland campus specifically, so not necessarily a college or an academic team or department. So I won't list all of these out, but these are just some examples of what you could get involved with on campus. Something that I preface to students is that these are all part-time positions and have a max of, I believe, 20 hours per week. So this is very much so supplemental income for you and cannot function typically as like your primary source of income. But it's a really good way to get involved on campus and earn some extra, like I would say like spending money, if that makes sense, and supplement some other things that you're doing. So some examples include, like I said, working with our farm. So you can work as a farm crew member or a senior eco rep. You can also work at our campus sports and rec team or with our campus sports and rec team. Bunch of different things that you can do there, but you can work either as an intramural referee, which is essentially one of our sports opportunities here in Oakland. You could also work as a fitness center or building supervisor. You could also work as a lifeguard potentially, club sport coach. So intramurals and club sports are both different types of athletics that we have here in Oakland. We do not have any division sports here in Oakland specifically, whereas the Boston campus does. So that's something to keep in mind, but if you want to get involved in sports, there are pathways you're able to do that. Some other examples include working at our library, within our residential security office. You could work with our Center for Student Involvement, which houses all of our student organizations and student government. They also host some of our larger scale events here on campus, and are always happy to have students working and helping to host, to give feedback around what students want to do and things like that. Is there anything here that you feel like I'm forgetting, Xiaomei, out of like the student jobs on campus that you've heard of, or like any good ones that people have talked about having good experiences with and things like that?
I think that's pretty much of it. And I think the library role definitely are the very popular one. And yeah, I think before also have a role called resident assistant. But that position probably closed for now because they started training in August.
Yeah, definitely. But I will also say to learn more about the jobs that are available, if you are an admitted student in the future and you register for your classes, there's a platform called Workday, and all these positions become available about a week before classes start. And then you get access and are able to start applying to jobs. So it takes a little bit to get access to it. But also once orientation starts and the semester starts, all these different departments will definitely talk all about the positions that they're hiring for and give you ample opportunity to apply. So go ahead and go to the last slide, Gretchen. Oh, well, that was my last slide, but go ahead and take it away.
Well, yours is right here. The order is a little funky, so.
No, you're good. But if you have any questions, this is my email address and also our Oakland graduate recruitment inbox. I oversee that one too, so you can just email me directly. But if you want to email that one, feel free. And then also if you want to see some other upcoming events that are going on, you can scan the QR code on the right. And then if you also want to see what's going on once orientation starts in a couple of weeks, definitely check us out on Instagram to keep updated and see what the vibes are are for this fall. But yeah, I'll pass it over to you, Gretchen.
Perfect. I just have a couple more next steps that are a little bit more COE specific. I'll give everyone one last chance to scan that QR code if that's something that they want to do. And then I do know we're getting a couple of questions into the Q&A chat that Xiaomei, Caitlin, and I will answer at the end. But if either of you want to start answering them now, that's totally fine. Moving on, if you need that QR code, reach out and we'll send it to you after. But I just wanted to name a couple of other resources as part of the next steps, including our graduate ambassadors. Like we said, Xiaomei is our graduate ambassador for the College of Engineering on the Oakland campus, along with Tangfei Wei, who is not here today, but another great resource. He manages, I think along with Xiaomei, our RedNote, our Weibo, and our WeChat for any international students that are on those platforms. They answer questions and post information over there, as well as answering questions on WhatsApp, our graduate ambassador email account. We have representatives from every area of COE. So if you have a question that maybe isn't Oakland specific, but you wanted to find out more from the student perspective, you can use the QR code on the screen to go to our graduate ambassador website. You will see all of our ambassadors broken up by program and location, and they are happy to answer any of your questions that you might have. You can also email them at that coeambassadors@northeastern.edu email address on the screen. So if you haven't already, I know a lot of students on this call might be at different areas of the application process, but you are still able to submit an application. These are some deadlines to start thinking about. We'd love, if you haven't put one in yet, to put one in soon. You can see for our fall 2026 deadlines, December 1 is the PhD applicant deadline. So if you were interested in that PhD program, that is one of the earlier and more stringent of the application deadlines, just because the review process for PhD candidates can take a little bit longer. A little bit more flexibility for anyone applying for a master's program. So if you're looking at information systems or the bridge program, January 15th is our priority deadline. That is just the first deadline where we start going through batches of applications and sending out our decisions regarding that. Also, it's probably your best chance at any sort of master's funding from our Dean Scholarship in particular. The earlier you get that application in, the better. But June 1st will be the international student outside of the US deadline, and then July 1st is for international students inside of the US and Canada. Domestic students have all the way up until August 1st, along with Canadian students, to get those in. But again, the sooner you get that in, the better consideration you have for the Dean Scholarship and campus locations, those sorts of things. Our spring deadlines are below as well. August 15th, all international students applying to Canada, October 1, all international students applying to the US, and then December 1 for domestic students. So if you wanted to start a little bit sooner than fall, those deadlines are coming up a little bit sooner at this point. The admissions requirements are fairly straightforward as far as an admissions application goes. For the College of Engineering, that is going to include your unofficial transcripts at the time of submission. We don't require the official transcripts until later down the road, so you can submit with those unofficial ones. Your statement of purpose, your resume, and 2 letters of recommendation. We are currently GRE optional in the College of Engineering, so you don't need to worry about sending that score. And we also have waived our application fees for the current application cycle. So it's a really great time to get those applications in. There's a very low barrier to entry to be able to do that. And we want to make it as accessible as possible for people. International students will also have to submit an English proficiency. We accept all 3 of the tests listed at the bottom of this slide. And those score minimums and how to submit them are listed on our COE graduate admissions website as well. I want to talk a little bit about scholarship opportunities that exist on our GCN campuses, particularly in Oakland. And that is going to be our 25% regional campus scholarship for the College of Engineering. That is a stackable tuition scholarship offered to all students admitted to a College of Engineering master's program on any of our regional campuses. Currently for fall 2025 or spring 2026. Again, so that first set of deadlines that you saw. This can combine with other scholarship amounts that you might qualify for when you submit, and it can be stacked up to 50% of your tuition. Again, next steps, just keeping in touch if you have any questions. Again, that COE graduate admissions website is going to be a super great resource for all of these deadlines, the application materials, any general question that you might have that comes up in that application process. That's a great way to get a hold of us. If you have any questions during that application process or regarding the status of your application, you can email the admissions office directly. That's that COE-gradadmissions@northeastern.edu email that you see there. And below that is our student ambassador website or email for any questions regarding what it's like to move to a new city, classes that they've taken, anything about the experience on campus you can get from a student ambassador that way. And that brings us to the end of the slides. We can go ahead and move into a little bit of the Q&A. We definitely have some time left.
I actually have one question for Xiaomei, if I
Yes,
may.
please.
So really quick question for you. What would you say has been like the highlight of being here in California and also here at the Oakland campus since you started your program? Could be literally anything, could be related to the program, could not be related, could just be like living in the Bay Area, anything like that.
First of all, I would say the location is pretty good because it's close to the Silicon Valley. So there are lots of big tech company here. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for networking. And another thing I would say is the weather because my hometown is a subtropical city. So originally I didn't apply for Boston campus because it's too cold in the winter. Yeah, so I'll say the weather here is pretty good. It's not too cold in the winter and it's not too hot during the summer. Yeah, and also there are lots of like greeneries, especially the campus. And as an Asian student here, I would say the foods are very good as well. I feel spoiled compared to, I mean, like other cities. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say the Bay Area specifically has a pretty like diverse range of like cuisine across the board, whether that be like honestly like whatever you're interested in, we probably have it here in the Bay Area. And it's good. It's not like we have it, but it's not that good, but it's actually pretty good quality as well, which is great. And yeah, the weather is definitely a huge plus. For example, like in the winter, it usually doesn't get below like 50s-ish, like low 50s. There's no snow, but there will be a lot of rain for sure. Last year it was pretty rainy, which it usually is not that rainy, by the way, for folks that are not from the Bay Area. But it was kind of pouring all the time last winter. And during the summers, the highest that it gets is probably like 85 maybe, with like some humidity. And during the spring, it's a really nice like temperate, like high 60s, low 70s, similar with fall. It's really beautiful. We get the breadth of the seasons, but nothing too extreme, which is great. And there's also a bunch of different areas you can go around in the Bay Area if you're interested in doing anything like outdoorsy. You can go hiking in the Oakland Hills or Berkeley Hills. You can go up to Tahoe, which is one of our larger lakes here in California. And also you can go to the mountains. There's a bunch of different mountains and national parks here in California, all within like driving distance if you want to just rent a car for the day or for like a weekend. It's very accessible, which is super cool. So thank you. Let's see, looking at the questions in the chat, like Gretchen said, if there are any other questions, feel free to drop them there. If there's any questions specifically about the campus, also happy to answer those as well.
I am working through a couple of questions here as well, but I just want to say one more time because the question has come through twice that the COE currently does not have an application fee. So you're not getting a waiver at the end of this webinar only because there is no fee at all. So the application is free to submit right now for this admission cycle for all applications for spring 2026 and fall 2026. let me see. Y'all feel free to jump in on any of these. I'm finishing typing one right now.
For the GRE, it's not included, it's not required for the PhD programs either, correct?
Sorry, what'd you say, Caitlin? I didn't hear you.
Oh, the GRE scores, they're not required for the PhD programs either. Like, they're
The
not required
GRE is
across the board,
currently not
right?
required for any COE program at this time.
Okay,
It is
cool.
optional. Whenever I meet students on the road and they ask me about submitting the GRE, my advice is always, if you think that you have an extraordinary GRE score, that it is something that you think will make a huge difference in your application and you want people to see the score, like you're ready to put it on your fridge, you're so proud of it, that is the only time I would recommend bringing in a GRE as part of your application. If it's just okay, or it's something that is sufficient but doesn't seem wow worthy, I don't think you need to add it into your application, since it is optional at this point, and there isn't more consideration for an application just because it has a GRE versus if it doesn't. So unless you're really excited about that score and you want us to see it, I don't think there's any need to put it in your application. It should also just save your money on it. I know it can get expensive to send it to different places as well. And so the grad school application process can get expensive very quickly. So if there are ways to not have to do it, I wouldn't add that strain to yourself.
Yeah, very good point.
How long does it take when the status is on FCE? I believe that this is probably part of the review process for international students, is what that question's about. I'm not totally sure what the question itself is. I can't really speak to what that review process looks like, as that is in a different area beyond what I do in admissions. But if you want to send either Caitlin an email or me an email, we can probably follow up on that a little bit more specifically. Did you have anything you want to say on that, Caitlin? I see you typing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll send my answer in a second, but FCE is the foreign credential evaluation. So essentially this includes any sort of like external transcript evaluations that you have to submit, or any sort of official transcript translations you need to include, or anything within that realm. Definitely, we highly encourage you to continuously monitor your application page. So if you've requested all of those services to be done while you're waiting for them to be completed or submitted by the third-party vendor that you're using, please make sure that you are monitoring to make sure that they are actually submitted. And if they are not, you can submit inquiries to see what's going on and what the status is. It can take up to a few weeks to maybe even a month, depending on the time of year that you're doing this. So we always encourage you to do it as soon as possible once you get the notification that you need to complete those tasks. And all of that is included again on your application status page, and you can take a look at that at any point in time. So. Which of the campuses offers the MS in electrical engineering? We have the PhD in electrical engineering, but I don't know about the MS in electrical engineering.
I know they are in a couple of different campuses, primarily in Boston. I'm gonna just back up some slides for everybody, just because I know that sometimes it's easier to take these down directly as a screenshot. And you can see a lot of the offerings there. Again, Boston is going to be primarily where we house most programs overall, but there are some electrical engineering options in Oakland. There are a couple that are in Seattle as well. I believe that the Masters of Science Electrical Engineering is an option in Seattle, which is also one of the campuses that qualifies for our 25% regional scholarship, stackable with other scholarships up to 50%. And then, okay, I'll move forward. I'm just gonna hover here for one more minute. So if anyone wanted to get a screenshot of this slide, they can do it. And then
Masters in data science is through our COE College of Computer Sciences, not the College of Engineering. So that would be a different college. And I will send you actually a link to that really quickly. You can get an idea of what locations that's at. The data science program is offered in one of our California campuses, in Silicon Valley, but not in Oakland currently.
I'm going to hover on this screen as well for a minute for the question regarding the application starting deadlines. Again, based on your primary location, those different dates, when everything is due. I believe all the applications are also opening for this new cycle in October. I believe so. If you have a question about that, feel free to shoot me an email. I'll put my email in the chat before the end of this. RCE was submitted a month before the application.
Yeah, I would, to your point about the FCE being submitted before your application, I would follow up with both of them. Or reach out to me or Gretchen. And I can take a look at what's going on. If you've applied to an Oakland program specifically, I can take a look at what's going on. Can I apply directly into the PhD without an MSc? Gretchen, do you want to answer that one? Or do you want me to answer that one?
I think the best person to answer that is going to be Emily Walters, who is our PhD liaison for COE. She can speak much more specifically to individual backgrounds going into the PhD program. There aren't necessarily the requirements can vary department to department. So I am going to Caitlin, if you want to talk about, okay, you just answered the one about the 2 different campuses. I'm going to send.
Yeah, if you
I'm
2 things.
listing the
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
PhD email right now.
Or the question about the different campuses. So one thing is that when you are applying on the application, when you first begin your application, you list like what program you're interested in. If you say that you want to go to a program at a physical location, you will be asked to list your top 3 locations. And so you'll want to rank them based off of which one you prefer the most. So let's say you're most interested in going to Oakland. So you'll put that as your first. Let's say then you're interested in Seattle, you'll put that as your second, and Boston as your third. Those campuses all have to have the program offered there. It can't be a location that doesn't offer it there. So that's one thing. And then you can also, let's say you've submitted one application already and you're like, I actually want to apply to this program too. On your application page, there is something that you can do. So if you go in the corner at the top right, you can do submit a request, and it'll open up a bunch of different options for you, and you can add an application, and it'll auto upload some pieces of your application previously. You might need to get some other things re-uploaded, but you can definitely, I think, apply up to 5 programs at a time, I believe, at this point. So. Any other questions? Any questions for one of our current students, potentially? Maybe? No, not all campuses offer
do
that
not
program.
offer
Yeah.
MS or PhD electrical engineering. You can do both in Boston, and then there are master's opportunities in Seattle. The PhD is available in Oakland. All of those programs by campus can also be found on our website in case you forget after this call. But PhD program in ECE for spring 20. Spring admission eligible for the same. So all the PhD applications are due in December. It is a longer review process. There isn't really a spring start necessarily. So you need to get that in by December to be considered for fall 2026. PhD applicants, because the PhD is fully funded for up to 5 years, that funding is built into the offering that comes for a PhD. That's usually fulfilled through TA-ships, research assistantships, things of that sort. So it will be automatically included in the PhD offer if you should get one. There is not a separate application for funding opportunities. Charles, I don't know if you sent a follow-up question and I just missed it, but happy to
I
answer
think
it.
that was
I'll
the, or
Okay.
no, they didn't send the question yet. Never mind. Mhm.
Any other questions about Oakland specifically? GRE is not required for any COE application at this time. Jaume, do you have any advice you would share for students looking to start a program at Northeastern on the Oakland campus?
I would say probably can do some like intern research like before you come to the US, because lots of companies, they release their opening like a year ahead. And also I strongly encourage you to maybe apply for on-campus job. I think it's a great opportunity to practice your interpersonal skills and the English, especially if you were an international student. And as Caitlin said before, also is a good opportunity that you can make some like side money. Yeah, I mean, I think the cost of living here in the Bay Area is relatively more expensive. Like the cost of Uber and restaurants, they are not cheap. So yeah, I think it's kind of like a win-win thing that you can do, and getting a more immersive experience when you come to the US. Yeah.
Yeah, I would, that's a very good point about the cost of living here in the Bay Area specifically. It's definitely one of the more expensive cities in the US. So definitely something to consider. But yeah, the on-campus jobs, as Jaume said, is a really good opportunity to kind of get plugged in, make some extra money, and also like meet a bunch of people too. Like if you are moving here and you don't know anyone, and you're just trying to like meet some other people, that is definitely one way to do that. So that's really nice. Charles's question is secured admission to the IS program in Canada, but you want to switch to the US. There is a process that you can request to do that. So if you go to your application portal, similarly in the top right corner, you can submit a request. And then I believe there's like one of the options is like request options. Click on that link and then you can request a campus change. Those are reviewed on a case-by-case basis. It may also affect what scholarships that you're offered, if you're offered any scholarships that are tied to a specific campus. So that's definitely something to consider. It could either decrease scholarships or increase them, who knows, but it might have an effect. And if you are an international student to the US at least, it may at this point not be approved because of how quickly approaching the start is for fall. So you may want to request a campus change, then also potentially request a deferral, which may also affect scholarships that you're offered. But if you want to keep your spot and still want to attend the program, I would recommend considering that as well. If it's for fall. If it's not for fall, you can disregard that.
There's a question about co-op in the chat, and how it's looking. I mean, in the COE, we have like roughly 2,400 co-op partners that are available to COE students across the nation. And that is our most up-to-date recent list. So the opportunity is still there. And again, it is still very much in the ethos of the university and the College of Engineering. Little fun fact for you, the College of Engineering was the first school in Northeastern to offer co-ops. Back when the COE was just night classes being offered at the YMCA in Boston. They were having night classes, that way they could have their students go and working in different engineering fields during the daytime. So co-op is really in the bones of our program, and I would say everyone on staff and faculty is very in support whenever they come up for students. I know I currently have 3 different ambassadors on my team that are all in co-op. One of them is in Germany doing the co-op. One of them is in Boston, but she goes to the Miami campus. And then I have an ambassador in Seattle who is also doing co-op, as well as a PhD in Boston. She's with chemical engineering. She just had one come up and is potentially going to do that in fall. So they can come really quickly. But I can say that the support that the faculty and staff have for students taking that opportunity, because it's going to further their education, is very much alive and well in that process. So hopefully that answers your question a little bit. It looks like we've got about 3 minutes left. I think we've moved through everything in the chat as far as questions go. I think I would love to close out. Caitlin and Xiaomei, if you could just let us know your favorite thing about living in Oakland. If you had to give one recommendation for people visiting the city, what would it be? Before we get out of here. I know, big question. There's so many things to like.
I would say probably it's the Rock Ridge. I remember Rock Ridge is the first place that I came here and I visited for the first couple of days. And excuse me. First of all, the campus shuttle can get you there. And second, there are lots of restaurants and boba, and also some like stores if you want to do the thrifting. And third, there's a bus station there. So yeah, I'll say it's somewhere that you can definitely can go.
Yeah, I would say, oh God, that's such a hard question. I would say, okay, one of 2 things. One is right on Lake Merritt, we have our Oakland Museum of California, and there's this thing called First Fridays. So every first Friday of the month, there's a huge, essentially like block party that it happens in the surrounding areas. And so that includes like, I think different charges to like enter the museum. I think it's a little bit cheaper. Also, they have like a bunch of food trucks come, live music performances, live dances, DJs, all the things. And then also there's like a larger thing that happens in a couple of blocks over. It's a huge event every Friday. I live over that area, so it's you can always tell when it's happening for sure. But it's a super cool thing to check out if you would like to. And then the other thing that I would say is there is another location or like downtown or neighborhood in Oakland called Piedmont, which is about maybe like 15 minutes from campus. Yeah, Xiaomei knows
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I love
yeah,
Piedmont.
Piedmont's super cute. Yep, there's a ton going on there too. There's one place in particular, if I may plug one not restaurant, but it's a food place. It is called what's it called? Mr. Dewey's Cashew Creamery. So if you have any dairy allergies, like myself, it's completely dairy-free ice cream shop. It's delicious. The most, like, honestly, the best ice cream maybe I've actually ever had, even before when I used to eat dairy back in the day. It's really good. There's a bunch of restaurants along that area and also like some thrift stores. There's a beautiful flower shop too, which I would always recommend to go to. And there's a really cool park also a couple minutes away that's kind of like in the hills. It's a really cool spot. There's like an outdoor theater at the park too. It's super cool. So would highly recommend taking a walk over there and checking that out too. But those are the 2 things that come immediately to mind. But I would recommend checking out all these different neighborhoods. They all kind of have their own little flavor and their own little like vibe to them. So would definitely, like Xiaomei was saying when she first got here, check out the different neighborhoods and see what's going on. So.
Wow, what a great note to end on. I took all of those down. I'm definitely going to hit them up next time I visit Oakland. Very excited about it. I believe we're at time. I did drop my email into the chat. If anyone has any more specific admissions questions, whether PhD or master's, I can get you to the right person to answer any of those questions that you might have. Thank you all for joining us. I know a little early for our West Coasters, but we appreciate you taking the time to come and listen and find out more about our wonderful campus in Oakland today. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one, y'all.
Thank you.